Hey everyone, it's the Dark Knight Emin. Today we're going to talk about how to fix bad data in your Salesforce org. All right, so here's the issue: you have bad data, and you have duplicate records, you have missing or incomplete data, you have data that's hidden, you have old data. These are all potential issues that cause problems within your org. Your users don't trust the data because it's not reliable, because they don't know if they're in the right record. They go to a record and it's got bad information on it. They don't know if it's accurate. All these things are valid issues that cause turmoil within your org and cause users not to use your org because they don't trust the data that's in the system. So the first thing here is we have duplicate records. And one of the easiest way to prevent duplicate records from happening is turning on your dupe rules. So here we're looking at a contact dupe rule that I set up here. We set up some matching criterias, and we can go ahead and turn that on, and it will prevent dupes, or at least it will warn the user that they're creating a duplicate record. Couple of things to note here: we have the bypass sharing rules here. So sometimes we may need to look at all the records. So we want to make sure we can do that. We can change those settings. We can also specify what action happens on creation and edit of duplicate records as well. On create, we can say we want to either allow the record to be created or we can block it. And we can also set up an alert and a report. Alert means, hey, this is a potential duplicate. You alert the user that this is going to happen. If you allow, that means that they can create the record, but they at least get the warning message. And if you do the report, as a admin, you can get a report of all the duplicate records that were created, so you can go back and merge them later on if you need to. So allow allows them to create a record. Block prevents them from creating that record. So when you click block, it goes, hey, you can't create this record. It matches a duplicate, so it doesn't allow to do that. And you can still do the alert in the report so that that record doesn't get created. So it's a quick way to help prevent duplicate records from actually getting created in your org. So you can merge duplicate records. So if you have duplicate context rating system, you can merge those duplicate records. You can also go ahead out and find a tool that merges records. Most of these also can also do the search and find potential duplicates. So you can do the search, you can match up all your records and start merging things. So removing those duplicate records is only going to help. You don't want to be that person, that company that calls the same person 3 times in a row because they have 3 different contact records for that individual within your org, and you don't have that history of what's going on. Because if they call in one record and they track the activity, and you call in a different record and track the activity, if you don't know about both those records, you may call the same person within a short span of time, and you could be losing a customer because you have bad data within your system. So removing duplicates is a huge thing within your org to get rid of that potential issue. Next issue that pops up a lot is your data is missing or incomplete. So that record really offers no benefit. They can have a leader contact with no contact information. So I always say, when you create a leader contact, you always need to have a phone or email address. You need a way to be able to contact that person. Otherwise, it's a useless contact because you can't do anything with that contact. You just have a name, if you're lucky. Another example that happens a lot is sometimes you see accounts that have no address information. So you don't know where this account lives, or there's no other information. There's no website. Any of those valid information happens all the time. You create a record and it doesn't have all the details in it. You don't know what this record's supposed to do, so it's not a good record. You don't trust the data, so you end up creating a different one that maybe has it, or you update the wrong record. So fill out as much information as possible all the time. There's a way to do that. We can go ahead and create validation rules. We can require some of the most basic information to make the record complete. We can make fields required, so you can always require certain values to always be populated. You can also use some data enrichment tools to populate the missing data. So you have you have the contact's name, you have an email address, but maybe you need the address information. A data enrichment tool will probably be able to provide that type of data for you. If you're doing an import of a bunch of data, clean it up beforehand. Make sure you don't have duplicate data within your data that you already have. Clean that up, get all the data organized and cleaned up, and then put that in the Salesforce. That way it's trusted and reliable. And if you have bad data, delete it. If you have a record with just a single name on it and it doesn't provide any value, get out of your system. It's only causing congestion within your org. Before we move on, please like and subscribe. I do produce Salesforce tips every week. Hidden data. This is another thing that happens a lot, is that duplicate records get created because users can't see the other record. So I create a contact. Somebody else creates the same contact because they couldn't see the contact that I created. So one of the ways to do this, we can open sharing. Typically, view all is very common, so everyone can see all the data, but they can't modify everything, especially for objects with leads, accounts, and contacts, where a lot of the duplicate records do occur a lot. Another thing to keep in mind is remove the quick create buttons for contacts and leads. I once had an org that had over 50,000 duplicates of contacts because the contact didn't have an account associated with them, so they can never find the contact that they just created. So they're just creating contacts and contacts and contacts and contacts, and after a while, it becomes very hindering for your org to have all these contacts that have no parents. And then the users can't see them, so they keep creating the same records. So we're moving some actions to prevent users from doing that. That way, you can enforce the fields that you need populated for those contacts to be updated. Another thing that happens a lot is we have a lot of old data. Old data is typically driven by whatever your company policy is, but you want to archive your old data so that you don't have it in your system if it's not relevant. So let's say the contact has been set up for a long period of time, but maybe it hasn't been touched for a while, hasn't been updated, and nobody's contact or emailed them for a while, and you haven't had any responses. Remove it from the org. You can store it in a third-party system. You can store it in another database. You can archive it so you have that data contact, but it's not relevant anymore at this point. So one of the benefits is it saves you the storage and also makes your org faster to search. So now it's one less record that has to search through. And if you have a bunch of those old data files that aren't helpful, you have a lot of data that you have to search through that's not relevant anymore. So clean up your old data, archive it, put it into your old systems. So these are tips to clean up your org and make your users more productive by having the right data at the right time. Thanks for coming, and I'll see you next time.